This is Matt Laurenceau today on BMC Communities with Michele Marques, who has a very active role in everything documentation, and she's been helping synergies, I guess, between BMC Communities and documentation these past years. And I want to have your feedback. Michele?
Hello, Matt. Thanks for having me on.
So I definitely see you helping out, making sure that everybody has a great experience with BMC as a brand, not with BMC communities or not with documentation, but making sure that people, that customers and partner are eventually satisfied. So thanks for that. And I'd like to have your feedback actually on benefits you see about engagement on the community and your interactions with community members.
Sure. Well, I mean, I like going to the communities because, people are authentically raising their issues and concerns. It's not just like if you're on the docs, and people can leave feedback on the docs, people do leave comments, but, not everyone does. And if they do leave a comment, it's most likely to be about the topic that they're looking at. But that, what if there was something that they couldn't find the answer to? They occasionally will leave a comment, but more likely it's going to be that they're saying something on the communities like, hey, how do I do this? And I mean, sometimes on communities, yes, it was easy to find in the documentation and it's not where they're going, but at least what are their challenges? What are they trying to do? It might be something that they don't expect that the doc will tell them literally something, but you can see what it is and see, are you pointing them in the right directions in the doc?
Excellent, excellent. So I wasn't even aware of that. So interactions you get on the docs are really specific to that page of documentation, whereas on communities, you've got other perspective.
Usually. I mean, occasionally there's a comment from people who don't see something that they're looking for, but usually those people are people who already leave other types of feedback and are engaged on the documentation in terms of that as the community side of the documentation and feel that they can say things like, hey, like when we came out with the My IT 2.5 release, the documentation took a really use case approach and it put everything you needed to know about how to configure a use case in with that use case. So people did leave feedback. Hey, I'm trying to use the administration console to configure things. Where's that information? But not that many. It was a couple of people left that. So now for 3.0, we've reorganized things so they can find it again. But, I didn't find too much of that. I do find more questions corresponding to what people are actually trying to do when it's on the communities.
Oh, okay.
The clarification. Like on the docs, they might say, do you support, you mentioned this version of MongoDB. Do you support this other version?
Okay, yeah. So it's really specific to the content, to the page you're looking at on docs. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. I see you engaging on the public community, but I believe too, if I'm not mistaken, on beta programs. Is that correct?
I find that's important to be involved there because that's an opportunity to get feedback and to actually ask the people, a little more for feedback. Have you checked out the documentation, both in the beta community, and give them the link to the content, and also on the beta call, on the chat part of that, and ask them, did you have a chance to access it? Were you able to access it? Because it's not open to everyone yet, so there can be some permissions issues. And get some feedback. Not everyone's going to say anything. Not some people aren't bothering to check the docs, but other people do have feedback.
Cool, thanks. And let's go further on the synergy you actually foster, because you apparently do not hope synergies, you make it happen. So I see that on every release, you have a blog post in the product community, like My IT or something, describing a use case and how we provide value for customers. And then, at the end, a video or some more documentation, and then a pointer to read more on documentations. Can you please explain your strategy here?
Sure. So, I mean, I think the only times I did some actual blog posts that I was writing was a number of years ago when we were first moving our documentation to the wiki, and I wrote some blog posts about that for the ITSM, and I helped the platform people, with their blog posts where we summarize things and also mention about the docs. For this recent My IT release, I found that there's actually someone in support who well, I don't have permission to write blog posts directly on it. And I found there was someone in support who, for the previous release, had written a blog post, John Gallagher, that mentioned all sorts of functionality. And I said, hey, are you planning to do a blog post? And I included the product manager, it's one, or should one of us be doing it? And here are a couple of points about the docs that I'd like you to mention, such as, we've listened to feedback about some documentation and brought back an administration section to the documentation.
Oh, neat, neat. So you actually, make sure to create good pages you've worked on the documentation directly in context on the community with this new release, a blog post, and everything.
Yeah, so he wrote the blog post. I pointed him to where I had summarized on the docs about the enhancements, and then he included some other points that I wanted to include about the doc side of things.
Excellent, excellent. Sounds good. Last, probably least, and let's stop here. But last item is about logistics and ways to interact and mobile stuff that you're using right now. We were, trying, and that's interesting.
Yes, you've noticed, I'm on my phone a lot.
You're on your phone. I spend a lot of hours, days and night, on this guy. Well, you and I, interact quite a lot in public areas or private areas, secret areas on BMC communities. You're using your mobile phone right now for the Hangout because it's more convenient. There's apparently an issue with a laptop right now.
I can't figure out how to get it to work on my laptop.
So please share your perspective on what you experience and what your customers you talk to experience in engagement. Is mobile indeed going quite a lot?
Well, for me, I find it's really convenient and what it really is doing is actually probably shifting some of my BMC community engagement often is actually not during work hours, and it's not being like logged as work time or anything, because when I'm at the desk and I'm at work, I'm either in meetings or I'm writing documentation, and I have my time fairly full. There's a little bit of time that I'll carve out to do some things that I can't do from the phone, like writing a blog post, which I can't yet do from Android. But otherwise, it's very easy to, I get the notifications from my community's inbox to my phone. So the communities, not just that I'm following, but I care most about in my inbox. So I'll get notifications. I'll see when there are new posts. I can respond to them quickly. It'll be in, sometime in my off hours that I'll do it. I guess one of the challenges when I do that is I sometimes do say, have you looked in this part of the documentation? And I'm actually just talking about it because I'd have to open up a web browser and switch back to it and cut and paste the link, which might potentially be the M.dot. I'm not sure if it'll give me a mobile version of that, to people. And I have to remember to leave that post around and come back to it from the desktop if I want to easily give them links from the documentation. But often someone else will find it and they'll post the link or something like that.
Yeah, and the fact that most of the docs are now public makes things easy for everybody, right?
Yep.
Excellent. Well, Michele, stop here. I just wanted to thank you a lot for whatever you do, all the things you do in public or in private on BMC communities to make sure that customers win even faster, bigger with documentation.
Well, thanks for making sure that the communities are alive and active and we're getting all this great customer feedback and interactions.
Thank you, Michele. Bye-bye.
Thanks.